Hey y'all, hey bookkeeping side hustle community, it's Kate and I'm here today to do a demo of a new app extension. We're going to find out what to call it, called RightTool. It's been making some noise in the accounting and bookkeeping world for a couple months. And we've got Hector Garcia and Mark Corum here. They are the builders, developers, owners of RightTool, the brains behind it all. So the purpose of this interview is going to be to tell you about the product and give you a demo, but also keep it short enough to where if you're interested, you're just going to go follow their resources that we're going to share and learn how to become a power user. So hopefully by the end of the interview, you will know whether you want to take a look or not. Couple of disclosure items. I haven't used the app yet, and this is just an educational opportunity for y'all. I'm hoping that we get you some good info. Please post your questions below. Y'all know Hector's on YouTube, so I can just kind of like tag him and say, Hector, you got another question on the demo. Please respond and let us know where you're from, where you're listening from. Give it a thumbs up if you like it. So we have Hector and Mark. Hector is a CPA, owner of a bookkeeping firm. He does actual accounting. YouTuber extraordinaire. He's the guy who kind of was my original instructor, I feel like, in so many ways, in QuickBooks Online and in like video creation. So thank you so much for being here. And now he's a software developer too. Well, what can't he do? And Mark, the brains behind the operation, and he partnered with Hector for to develop a product. I think he had developed another extension called Monk for accountants, and they decided to partner together. So we're gonna, if we got time, we're gonna figure out what it's like a software app. If y'all want to stay listening, that's the intro. We're gonna dive in. I would love to ask y'all, gentlemen, what motivated you to create RightTool? Why did QuickBooks Online need extension? Hector, do you want to start us off?
Sure. So primarily, I've been a QuickBooks desktop user for many years before I went to QuickBooks Online. And there are things that QuickBooks Desktop has that I missed in QBO. I still miss them, as a matter of fact. Things like multi-window, things like um, keyboard shortcuts. These things were fundamental to my workflow. When QuickBooks Online was designed, when it was built, they focused on building a SaaS-based accounting software, but they didn't take a hard look at how power users interact with the software. And I think some of that was missed in translation. So when a power user goes to QuickBooks Online and has to click 3 or 4 times to get to somewhere that they're used to getting in 1 click or 2 clicks, that adds to the subconscious of frustration. And then when something goes wrong, because something always goes wrong with software, all sorts of software, desktop or online, you can't connect, you log out, some issue with the password, some issue with an account being linked to another account or whatever. All these little things happen. The subconsciousness of frustrations from missing those quick access shortcuts and stuff like that bubbles up and just blows up into big frustration. So when we built RightTool initially, I said, look, I want to make some things quicker access for people so they don't have to click so many places. And also I want to give.
Oh, I think you went out a little bit.
Hector, we just lost the last thing. Hold on, we can't hear him. While he's figuring that out, Mark, what made you want to join in on this project?
Well, actually, it started with me having another extension called Monkbee that I had before I even met Hector. And what happened there was I was a bookkeeper for a long time, or not a long time, but I was a bookkeeper for a couple of years at least. And I realized I wasn't that good of a bookkeeper, but I was good at breaking QuickBooks Online. So
I'm breaking it?
Yeah, well, and when I say breaking it, I mean getting it to do what I want in a way that maybe wasn't the intentional way.
Oh, okay. Hacking it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, after I kind of learned programming, I was like, let's build something for QuickBooks Online. And then I had another programmer I was working with. He's like, oh yeah, for what you're thinking about, you should do a Chrome extension. And immediately I just saw the potential. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, Chrome extension. I'm surprised I haven't seen more people do that. And so that's how it kind of started with MonkBee, is creating that Chrome extension. And thankfully Hector noticed it and reached out to me. And I obviously, because I know who Hector was, I was like, yeah, I'll jump at the chance to partner up with him on that. So
that's awesome. Hector, you back? No, we can't hear you. We're going to keep going with Mark here. So Mark, I definitely want to, like, we have got, if anyone's listening to this and gets excited by the phrase Chrome extension and app and like, oh, I know how to make something do like code stuff. Like, I think y'all need to form a little club, and that sounds so fun. It's not me, because I wouldn't be able to do it, but I think that's really neat. So Mark, can you tell us, like, who should be using RightTool? Part of me was just, as I was listening to Hector a minute ago, thought, so is RightTool for former desktop users who are mad about QuickBooks Online and want to get their old ways back? Or is there another?
Can I jump
there
in?
you go, Hector. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. Yeah. So I didn't finish the point. So the original question is what inspired me, and I went through the rabbit hole of things I missed about desktop, and now I get that sort of look and feel in QBO. However, I would say a lot of our users are not ex-desktop users; they're just straight QBO users. So no, there's no limit to to who the software is targeted towards. I'm telling you, from my perspective, why I got inspired to build it. There's a reason why a particular feature in desktop has been there for 30 years. It's because people like it, because it works. And for some reason, when QBO was designed, it was almost implicit that the programmers would not look at QuickBooks Desktop for inspiration to avoid getting stuck.
Hector, now we can't hear you again.
Man, something about
so there's no, whatever point he's trying to make, no, the StreamYard bugs don't want him to.
It does seem that way.
Right in the middle. I don't think it's on my end. Well, we're going to circle back to Hector's main point. I want to know who's RightTool for, Mark. Let's make sure our listeners get that answered. Is it for? Yeah, who's it for?
Yeah, so we have two versions of RightTool, right? So we have the completely free version, and we have a pro version, which is paid for. The way we like to think of it is that the free version of RightTool is basically something that anybody can use, and it will help them navigate through QuickBooks Online quicker, with less frustration, and just in general make some of the more annoying parts of QuickBooks Online feel a little bit better. So literally anybody could use the free version, in my opinion. And yeah, that's kind of who that's aimed towards. Then we have the pro version, which is a little bit more focused on the features that, like, somebody who's doing accounting who works in QuickBooks Online 24 hours or 24/7 or however many days that normal people work.
Hopefully no one's working 24 hours a day. But yes, we get it. Like the power user, that's Hector's word, right? Like,
yeah,
he's constantly using that word. So it's for, you can use it for the power user.
Exactly. It's stuff that, for a single person, like who's just working on one company and they're spending like 2 hours a month on QuickBooks or something like that, it's probably not worth it. But when you're working on it, as a full-time job, those things really do add up. And, it's Hector likes to say it saves you seconds, but, you have enough of those little moments you save seconds on.
Well, the thing that makes me, like, to me, it saves you seconds seems like such a not great selling proposition. But then whenever I hear him write it, and everyone on social media like comments like, oh my gosh, it does, like, it's exactly right, and like people are going gaga over that like particular thing. And so it really is, like, accountants love efficiency, and we want to be like excellent at our job, because that's how we're going to make our money. And especially when you're value pricing, the more you can shave those seconds, your effective hourly rate goes up. And Hector teaches us to value price. That's the modern way. So If you're hourly pricing, RightTool might be kind of like who cares? But whenever you have that value pricing, fixed pricing mentality, those seconds add up. So why don't we do a demo? Can we, if below your screen, do you have yours up? I know we didn't quite test that.
Yeah, I should have it up. Let's see here.
You should be able to add it to the stream, and then I'll put it in the image here.
Okay. Oh, okay. Interesting. Let's see here. Share screen.
And hopefully, guys, we'll get Hector back. He's restarting his computer. Even the greatest have a problem too sometimes. All right, Mark, we are sharing your screen now. Guys, if y'all are listening, there's a handful of folks listening. Let us know if you can see his screen. And Mark, I'd love for you to let's just focus on like maybe the top 5 things that the free version does that like the people are already going gaga over. And then maybe we can compare some of the free versus paid, because I want those newer people who maybe can't afford the full-blown version to still be able to get some of the benefit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's start off with the most obvious thing for the people who have never even heard of RightTool before, which is the fact that it creates an entire right side toolbar for you.
There you go.
So the key with this is that we know that sometimes people get a little frustrated with the updates that QuickBooks Online makes to the left side sidebar.
Oh yeah.
So we try to make something that's like ultra usable, and it focuses purely on, making life better for users without having to get too crazy about it. So one of the first things that I want to show is the fact that, as you might have noticed here, is we have a couple of different areas. So we have this profit and loss, bank feed, register, and I can just click into one of them, and it just takes me straight to whatever page I want to go to. And the cool thing about this is it's completely customizable, and it uses Hector's, his roster of shortcuts and pages inside of QuickBooks Online. So if we go to this all shortcuts page, you can see we just have like every kind of page imaginable inside of QuickBooks Online.
So real quick, Hector, I have a memory of watching some videos of yours where you you had a product that made folders at the top of our browser or something. Is that kind of the idea behind this?
That was the part that I got that StreamYard interrupted me right when I was about to get to that point.
Okay.
Which is my fix to getting shortcuts and quick access to stuff in QuickBooks Online was to build a bookmarks folder that contains every single screen you can access via a direct URL. So like if a screen, like the check-in screen or the invoice screen or the bill screen, has its own unique URL, like a website, a web page per se, I created specifically a shortcuts database, and I sold that shortcuts database for years. It's still for sale, by the way. But when I met Mark and I said, hey, is it possible to take this shortcuts list and build it into an app? So if using the Chrome extension idea from Monkbee, that way, it just feels cohesive instead of you having to go up in.
Oh my gosh, you got your voice went out again.
It's one of those things where he had that vocal cord surgery before QuickBooks Connect.
I am so sorry if it's a StreamYard thing.
Yeah, the universe does not want Hector to be able to speak. It seems.
I guess even more than just the doctors. Well, keep going, Mark. So we've got our right bar, and we've got the inspiration from Hector's Shortcuts menu that looked pretty big, I have to say. When you clicked open those things, and then the next left bar jumped out, that's pretty expansive. So
it's pretty expansive, and I get how if you're first looking at that, you're like, oh my god, that's a little bit too much to look at. And that is why the search bar for the RightTool is such a big deal. Okay. Because if you have a page that you particularly want to go to, for instance, I like unpaid bills, I don't know, for whatever reason, when I was a bookkeeper, I could never find this dang page. So what you can do is you can search inside of the search bar for whatever page you're looking for, and it'll go through the entire database basically and find it. It makes it super easy to find any page that you want to find. And if it's, well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but that's different than a keyboard shortcut. Search is not keyboard shortcut.
Yeah, keyboard shortcut's different from the search part. But yeah, if you search for it and you're like, you know what, I use this page a lot, you can just come over here really quickly and click this little star icon. And from now on, if we ever go to favorites, bam, unpaid bills is right there. And we can just, whenever we want to, it's just right there, easy for us to access.
So there's some minor customizations that an individual user can have, on top of all the additional tools. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is a great thing about RightTool?
Yeah. Well, I think you already alluded to it, but we have a whole, just a bunch of shortcuts. Now, this is something for those people who just absolutely love their shortcuts. One of the shortcuts I personally like is the fact that you can press, you see how there's numbers beside all these things in favorites?
Okay, yep.
If I just press, and I'll have one hand over here and everything, let's say I want to go to the profit and loss, I can just press Control-Alt-1, and it's basically you make your own shortcut for whenever you do Control-Alt and then whatever number is to the right here, or on this area right here.
Yep.
Then it's automatically making a shortcut for you. So if you just absolutely get your workflow down, you can absolutely be like, oh, I'm going to go to this page. Then we can do Control-Alt-2, go to this page and do that. And it's just a crazy way to make the workflow faster.
And you have the ability to try to set up so many of those your own shortcuts. Is that correct? So my shortcut keys are not going to be your shortcut keys.
At least for the favorites, that's how it works. Okay. Now there is also, and I will show you just ever so slightly, but not go too deep into it until Hector maybe is able to get.
Yeah, I'm gonna go old school and use a microphone on the laptop, and I'm using a laptop.
You sound fine. You sound fine.
Yeah, you do sound good.
We're basically going through the the top 5 favorite best things that a new user would want to know about RightTool and get started with.
Yeah,
we're on keyboard shortcuts.
Mark, it might be worth it if you go back to QuickBooks Online and hit Control-Alt ? This is what QuickBooks gives you. Like this is the universe of keyboard shortcuts that QuickBooks gives you. So what we did is we looked at, okay, you're only using half the keyboard, so let's use the rest of the keyboard plus more, so so in the shortcuts database, we include the ones that are built in by QBO. We don't touch those, we leave those, and then we basically try to use every combination of key possible to link to something. So for example, bills might be the best example. Like if you look at the QBO shortcuts database, you can go to an invoice, you can go to a check, go to an estimate, go to receive payment, but you can't go to a bill for some reason. So if you go into the shortcuts database and you search for bill, for example, just do Control F and search for bill, then okay, it's right there. So it's Control-Alt-B will take you to a bill. So you can try that out.
I think we need to have a RightTool power users group where y'all have a contest of Jeopardy, and maybe it's like
we actually do. We actually do. We have about 430 people in the Facebook group, and it's all back and forth. People saying, "Wait, how to do this? How to do that? Can you add this? Can you add that?"
You're serious? So you need to take that group and have a contest about who has it all memorized, who can do the shortcuts the fastest.
That could be fun for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
I think I will win, though, Kate. I think I will win.
You don't get to play. You don't get to play. You get to get to
Yeah. Well,
Mark, the other one that might be worth it to show is a shortcut that's not necessarily tied to a transaction. So, for example, Control-Alt right arrow and Control-Alt left arrow. Those are always fun.
Yes, and those will open up the left or right nav bars just easily. So it's very smooth. And so I do like that. I will actually, or go ahead, Hector.
I say it's worth it. It's worth to mention that part of the inspiration of having a shortcut for everything is being able to tie it to your Stream Deck. So if you have a Stream Deck, and I know a whole bunch of accountants don't or never seen this thing before, it's a $150 to $200 piece of hardware, which is a custom keyboard that allows you to map any shortcut to any of the keys you see in here. And these keys can be customized. They're little LED screens. So I have my Stream Deck hooked up to my lights, to my mute button for Zoom, for screen share button in Zoom, that sort of thing. And I also have it linked to keyboard shortcuts. So I can press one button, the Stream Deck, and open and close the left nav bar. I can do that and open and close the right nav bar. The other thing worth mentioning here, which is we're experimenting too, is again, because we have keyboard shortcuts, I have a pedal. It's a pedal, like a gaming pedal. Something your husband would like, Kate. Like a racing game pedal. And this most people use this as a racing game, but a pedal gives me 1, 2, 3 buttons. So I can do copy, paste. I can do tab, shift tab. I can do close left nav bar, close right tool, open right tool, that sort of thing. So I can be in hyper productive mode by combining my feet and my hands, and also my voice. Mark, I don't think you've shown the voice yet. So
no, tell us about that. Y'all are crazy. Y'all are going like QuickBooks robots over here.
Well,
I had no idea.
Me and Hector represent two sides of the QuickBooks Online power user spectrum. I am like, I do everything with clicks. I'm not the person who learns every keyboard shortcut and does all that. I am a clicker. So it does work for people in both camps, to be very clear.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark, because a lot of people that are going to be listening to this are going to be the folks with 3, 4, 5 clients. They're not going to be the power user like Hector. They're going to have maybe even simpler clients. And so I do like even just the left and right bar, like those are great examples of stuff that we can all be using. We don't have to like reprogram our entire body to be QuickBooks like Hector.
Yeah, no, Hector is incredibly good at what he does. He puts a lot of effort into everything.
But I appreciate it.
And I'm one of the people who's like, I want to make things as easy as possible for myself.
So you got your extra fingers, you got your feet, and now your voice too?
Yeah, we wanted to make it so you could basically interact with QuickBooks however you wanted to. So what we have is there's a feature that it's basically speech to text. So what I can do, and you can actually see this right here on this button right here. If I click that, which I shouldn't have done because now you can see it's searching for that entire
sentence. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that again real quick. So let's say that I wanted to go to the profit and loss. I could say profit and loss go. And it will actually take me to the profit and loss. And this works for basically anything you search for.
Oh my God.
But as long as you know like kind of what you need to search for and you say go, it goes to it. Now you don't have to say go, to be clear. I'm going to use, for example, that unpaid bills thing again. Unpaid bill. And then you can see it just shows up there without going straight to it. So you can do it, but if you say the word go at the end, it will actually automatically just take you straight to the place that you want to go to.
I have another contest besides a trivia and fast user contest. I want a name, so we have to say like Ronnie. I don't know what we would name RightTool, but like Ronnie, unpaid bills go. Like we gotta name it like Siri, right?
Yeah, it would be righty. It would be righty.
Righty.
Yeah.
Take me to the balance sheet.
Oh man,
this is amazing. Oh my gosh. And so can you make your microphone a hotkey so you don't even have to click the mic?
Yeah, and so that's you control space will make it so that you can automatically go over to that. So yeah, and I have that actually on my Stream Deck because I'm like, I'm never going to remember that keyboard shortcut. But yes, control space will automatically do the search bar. So
we've got an Andrea here saying she loves it. We got Jennifer saying nice and her mind is blown. This is awesome.
Yeah, and
I had no idea this was going to be this cool.
Yeah, and the next cool thing about that is the or the speech to text doesn't just work inside of the search bar. Now, this button right here does, but we do have a shortcut that actually enables speech to text anywhere in QuickBooks Online. And that's not necessarily something you'll use all the time, but as Hector noted, if you're ever like in a description for something and you need to type it out really quick, let me see what the actual thing is. So Control-Shift-A is what I'm going to press. So now I'm going to start talking and try to put in a description for this bill right now. And it's going to be really long. And if I had to type it, if I was a super fast typer, it would probably work. But as a speaker, I'm much faster.
That's
then
amazing.
You have to pause for a second.
I feel like, so it's going to stop recording. Look at all that text, y'all. I would use that down in the memo and the note section sometimes on my, whenever a client tells me like, this is what this was for. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to record that you said that. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's super cool. We're actually planning on adding, because you know how we said, if you say go, it'll go straight to the report. We're thinking about adding some more features to the speech to text, some more keywords to make it so you can start doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, the amount search comes to mind. So, Mark, can you show them the amount search without talking, because we can't do it with talking, but show them the amount search, and then imagine if we could do that via voice as well. That's the next frontier.
Yeah. So let's say we want to find any transactions that are greater than, let's make it a bigger number, greater than 1,000, right? If I put greater than 1,000, it'll open up a new tab that searches for you. And it just automatically does the search for you. So it's a super nice thing. And you can do this with amounts. You can do it with text, and it will find basically anything.
Do an in between, Mark, because in between is like my baby. Like I'm in between. I know when I'm doing bookkeeping, I'm like, I remember the transaction was 100 something. Like that's a very common thing.
Yeah.
Where I know it's 100 something. So just search like greater than 100 and lower than 200.
I'll go even further than that. I'll do 8,000, but let's see what happens if we do between 8,000 and 10,000. Yeah, exactly. So as you can see here, you can do a search betweens as well, and it'll go through, and now we only see transactions that are between those amounts. So
and this is all still the free stuff.
This is all free stuff.
Okay. I mean, I think people are gonna be pretty convinced. I'm gonna give y'all one more thing to say that's great for free, because this is not how people are gonna learn RightTool. People are gonna learn RightTool. We're gonna tell them how to go learn RightTool. This is to get them hooked on RightTool. So give me one more thing, because y'all have already made people minds blown here. So
yeah. Oh, let's see. There's two things.
Report drill down, Mark. That's that. Well, okay. You choose. I'll let you choose.
I do like report drill down too. There's so many cool things. It's almost hard to say. I'm going to do something that's super simple, because I think it's one of those super simple things that people, it kind of goes to show why we made RightTool, or why I made MonkB, I guess. So there's a reason why I want to show this specific thing, which is that if we go to the reconcile page and we say resume reconciliation, I don't know if you've ever been to this thing, but if you've ever done a reconcile or been to the register, there's no way to just go straight back to the bank feed, which is just craziness to me. So what we did was we actually added a button inside here at the top that says back to banking. And so when you're inside the reconcile page, or if you're inside the register page, you can just click this and it will take you back to the bank feed and take you back to whatever the actual bank account that you were in was.
Okay, so as a RightTool user, I'm going to have my bar, but I also need to be looking for things that RightTool is adding to my actual QBO interface. So to me, that's making me think RightTool is going to be great and helpful, but there is going to be a learning curve to see all the things that y'all are doing, which is why y'all are wanting I see you asking for feedback. So I bet every day someone gets into RightTool, they're going to be like, oh, they built this. Oh, that was there. Oh, I didn't know it did this. So it looks like I just want the people who are seeing this and they're just learning QuickBooks Online, don't be overwhelmed by this. Even if you just use 3 things, to start off with for your first client,
Yeah.
then you're going to be able to be like, you're going to, that'll become natural. And then you'll add the one more, and then you'll add the one more, and you'll see, I know why Mark wanted that added there, because I am going back to the banking tab all the time, and you'll get what he's saying. So don't be overwhelmed, y'all, if this seems overwhelming.
Yeah, and we have plenty of people who tell us like, "Oh yeah, I love RightTool, but I only use it, however X many ways. Like I feel like I'm only using 10% of it." And that's fine. That's the point, is that you can use it to whatever you need it to be, and it should, no matter if you just use only the right side toolbar, it should improve your life significantly. If you go farther than that, I promise you it will change the way you work with QuickBooks Online.
So all this
Mark,
stuff has been free. Go ahead, Hector.
If you don't mind, Mark, I don't think you've shown manage tabs and match tab names. And that was one of those really subtle things that RightTool actually is the very first thing that we did. I mean,
it is the first thing we did.
But like we're so excited about this speech to text and back to banking and all these like new things that we added, that we forget some of the core things that we fixed. So the core idea that we fixed, and if you remember what you were asking me, is one of the things I love about QuickBooks Desktop is that every screen was a different window. So the invoice window's here, the P&L window's here, the chart of accounts is here. So the main thing that RightTool set out to do, other than having this searchable database, is to make it in such a way that when you open things in QBO, everything opens in a new tab. So you can just go tab to tab, and you don't have to close things and wait for things to refresh. One of the most frustrating things about QBO is when you go from P&L to chart of accounts to banking or whatever, every time you go to each thing, it needs to refresh. It's 2 seconds times 1,000 times that you do this per month. So we're encouraging people to open all the different screens, your chart of accounts, your register, your banking, your P&L in different tabs. And then after they're in different tabs, you can use the tab manager to quickly go to each of the functions. So what Mark's going to do is he's going to open a whole bunch of tabs in one shot. He'll open everything in that favorites in one shot, and then he'll show you how we go from tab to tab. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we have a button here. So if you have your favorites in a specific way, you can actually open all of them at the same time. And then if you come over here, and it takes a little bit of time to load, obviously, because it is trying to load a whole bunch of different pages at the same time.
I think we get it, because I'm constantly hitting duplicate tab, and then I'm going to the other one, and then I'm losing track which one was the one I was wanting to stay steady and which one was the refresher, the new one. So I think we all get this. That's amazing.
Yeah, and they can, if you have tabs kind of spread out through a bunch of different windows, and sorry, because it loads, it does some weird stuff. But yeah, if you have the tabs, you can look at them all without having to go to look at this little tiny screen up here where all the tabs are starting to get a little bit too small.
Okay, I see. I got that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is crazy that this is all the free. What would be the benefit of shelling out the bucks to buy this?
Hector, do you have a particular thing you want to?
There are so many.
I know that's the problem.
Think the biggest showstopper is it's something small and subtle, and something the desktop has had for years, is the reconciled indicator, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough. Let's see if we can find a reconciled. Actually, you know what? This transaction report is a good one to go to.
Hector, did you say reconciled indicator? Correct.
So what happens is in QuickBooks Online, when you look at a transaction, there's no way for you to know if the transaction has been reconciled or not. Like if it's gone through a reconciliation process.
Yeah.
You see that big reconcile tag next to journal entry? That's RightTool. That's why it's in red. Everything in red is RightTool. We did a red so people can know the difference between QBO and what we've modified from the UI. Now you have the option to make that black, make it blend in, but we recommend all new users to start with red so they can differentiate between what RightTool does and what QBO does, and then you can turn off the red and just make it black. But you see that reconcile tag there? Without RightTool, you wouldn't know. You would have to go into a report, go into the register. It would take you like 10 clicks to figure out if this transaction has been reconciled or not.
That's wonderful.
Having it up there, it's a game changer. Plus, it's linkable. So if you actually click on that reconcile link, it takes you to a transaction report, and it enables the cleared column, so you know which line it's reconciled. Now that's if you have a journal entry with multiple bank accounts in it, or a transfer, or a
Credit card payment,
something that hits 2 balance sheet accounts. It's possible that it could be reconciled on one side and not the other. This is a typical QBO cleanup issue, right? Where you have duplicate transfers and stuff like that. Now you'll know exactly which line has been reconciled with just one click.
All right, what's one more pro feature?
Since we're already in a journal, do we want to?
Yeah, let's import the journal entry.
Yeah. So here's a thing that this is a pro feature. Let's export this CSV real quick. So that's actually a pro feature in its own self. But what we can do, and I actually think it works better if you create a new journal entry. So I'm going to come over here and make a new journal. And I'm going to open this up. So I'm going to come over here real quick and show you what I'm doing. I'm just going to copy these lines right here. And I'm going to move that away. And then I'm going to press this button right here.
What?
And what you do is you have to wait a second, because if you don't wait, then it can't get all of the information for what you're about to see. So I'm going to paste it into here. And from what you can see here that it, and I have this so that it is broken out. Okay, let me actually change that real quick. Well, actually, you know what? No, it's fine. I'm not going to worry too much about it. One second. I'm just going to do this real quick. There we go. So what you can do is then once you press run it, and let's actually look at this. Direct project cost, equipment rental. For whatever reason, this didn't quick. You can click into it if it's yellow, and you can actually see if something isn't an exact match.
Let me add something to that, Mark, because you were going through it fairly quick. Go hit cancel for a second. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's run through scenario. Okay. I happen to have a journal entry built in Excel or in Google Sheets. Why? I don't know. Maybe you export it from some POS software. Maybe you have a template built. Maybe you're reallocating things from one class to the other, and you need Excel to do that magic. So now that you have all the account names, all the memos, all the debits and all the credits in Excel, you want to paste them into QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online doesn't let you paste multiple fields. I mean, you can paste field by field, but if you have a 10, 20, 30 line journal entry, it will take you forever. So essentially the premise here is if you have something that looks like a journal entry in Excel, for whatever reason, you can paste it into here. So now, Mark, go paste it, and then I'll tell you what the yellow means. So if you paste it and you give it a second, you do a paste again. So the yellow means that because in the real world, you might not have, your account names might not be exact. So yellow means, hey, we found more than one account that has similar naming, and it's just asking you really quick just to make sure that you don't have inadvertently the wrong account, because it tries to find the account if you misspell it a little bit. So that's what the yellow means. So you can ignore that and just click run it, and then you can see what happens.
Andrea is saying this is super helpful, or she already knows how helpful this feature is for the super long journal entries.
Yeah. And
That's
as you can
amazing.
see, it through it pretty quickly, and it just puts it in. If you have a yellow, we debated on what we want to do with it, but we just decided if you're not 100% sure, don't put anything in. So that's why we have it this way, where
if you go back and manipulate the yellow, so now this should give you some context. So you go back and you click on the yellow and you confirm what it is. Then now QuickBooks knows where to put it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now when you hit run it, it will rewrite the journal entry for you. Correct.
And you haven't hit save it all yet, so you're not breaking anything.
Correct. Not breaking anything. Correct.
Okay, so I have 1% of RightTool learned today. So how do I go learn the other 99% of this if I'm sold that I'm downloading this extension? Is it an extension? Is extension the word?
Yes, it's an extension.
Okay.
So
how am I gonna? What do I need? I need a teacher, and I need a community to learn this in.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can learn about it and get the community to help out with it. The first thing is that with everything we've done today, it's completely toggleable. we wanted to make this ultra customizable. So if there's ever something that gets in the way of your experience with QuickBooks Online, you can take it off and make it so it doesn't get in the way anymore. So that's just one thing I want to say real quick about why there's an options page. And what's cool about this options page is if you go to any of these little eye icons, it will actually pop up a video. Most of them are Hector videos, and they will tell you exactly how to use something if we have the video. We're still in the process of getting all of these uploaded because this is brand new.
It will be finished this week. All the videos will be done this week, for sure. We have 80% of the videos are there.
Yeah.
Okay, so those take you to the videos are in app, but then they're also on straight the YouTube channel, the RightTool. So youtube.com/RightTool.
You have to put an @ sign because YouTube changed the way the URLs are. But yeah,
I'll have that link. I'll have that link below this video, guys. So just subscribe to it. If you know you're going to use RightTool, just subscribe because one thing I have noticed is that these guys are in the change RightTool every day phase of RightTool. So you're going to want to subscribe
every week now. Okay, but it used to be every day in 2022. We were doing every day, literally. There was a month where every day. Point
being, you need to, when you go to his channel, subscribe so that way you get the latest and greatest updates. Because you know Hector, he's going to make a video whenever something changes. So fantastic.
Mark's doing good videos too now.
Okay. Yeah. And then I know that you have the big QuickBooks Power User Group. Is that where people should go learn more about RightTool, or are you trying to segregate it out?
So we have a group called QB Power Users. And for whatever reason, I made the decision to make it a subgroup. And so it's not a separate group. And the reason for that is because if you're not a QuickBooks Power user, you're probably not going to be using RightTool anyway. So like I didn't want to have just a totally exposed group because then we'll have maybe non-Power users coming into the group and asking random QuickBooks questions. And we want to talk about, improving the workflow in QuickBooks, not helping somebody like figure out if something's a debit or a credit. So we made it a subgroup. It's called a channel feed inside of the larger. Can you go into Facebook and show Mark?
Yeah.
Inside of the QB Power user group.
So yeah, this is the main group right here is the QB Power Hour or Power User Community,
which we probably are all members of.
Yeah. And then inside of that community, there is a subgroup, and let's see if I press back here real quick if that will make it so that it shows us a little bit clearer.
Yeah, how do we find the subgroup once we're in? Because I'm not in the subgroup.
Yeah, actually, that's one of the things. I know it shows up on the left side for me, but that might be because I'm already in it. If you know exactly where to go for that,
it's always gonna be on the left side. If your configuration in Facebook, I don't know how to change it, but I've seen some people without the left side. Then it would say channel feed. Like you see where it says suggested feed channels on the right. It's under featured. Go a little down.
Oh yeah, gotcha.
Right.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, okay, so y'all, that's how you're gonna learn. The in-app, the little eye has the videos, the Facebook group, and then make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm gonna move us along because I want people to watch this video on replay, so I don't want it to get too long. Any other last benefits, Hector or Mark, that y'all want to talk about that this app does for adding to a bookkeeper's toolbox? One of the things I'm particularly thinking of is for people who want a firm. Is this a firm tool, or is this a single user tool? How are y'all envisioning that?
It's both. It's both. So a single user can buy the tool, or use the free version. We found that firms are not going to use the free version for a couple of reasons. Because they want to know which of the users are using the tool. Because what happens in firms is workflows and processes are streamlined. They're premeditated. Let's call it that. So they don't want one rogue bookkeeper using one app, another rogue bookkeeper using a different app, because it becomes very difficult to replicate or teach others, or they get essentially different results. So a lot of firm leaders have contacted me and go, Hector, I need everybody using the tool. I also need everybody using the same features.
Yeah.
And not others, just because it's going to throw people off. Sure. I'll give you an example. We have one called restrict transfers. And what it does is it doesn't allow the user to create transfers. Some firms love it. I don't want any of my users using transfers. Some firms go, no, of course, use transfers. Okay, that's it. Long story short, the accounting community has a very peculiar relationship with transfers, with the transaction type transfers in QuickBooks Online. So if we turn on restrict transfers, you won't be able to save a transfer. It's done. Like you can't. Doesn't matter what you do. We blocked it from the UI completely. So some firms might want that, and they want to force the users not to be using transfer. So that's an example of how we're starting to think about the multi-user aspect of it. Also, some users have told me, hey, I figured out the exact combination of things that I want to turn on and off, and I think this workflow is perfect. But now I want to share it with my teammate. But the way they share it now is they just send them a bunch of screenshots, and they go in and click things and try to make it look the same. So they told us, how can I share my profile with the other users? So that's part of the pipeline. We're going to build inter-user profile shareability. And we're also thinking beyond that. If we have a firm using RightTool, can we do other things with this? And we're thinking through that. But it was built originally for a single person. RightTool it's a single user's tool. It's what it is.
Yeah.
But now that we're exposing firms, they're giving us feedback on what they want to see. So more stuff to come. We don't have, other than having a discount for the additional pro user. That's really the only multi-user functionality there is. But probably what's coming next, Mark, it's saving profiles or backing up profiles, or saving profiles across users. That's probably going to be the next thing.
So that's just yet another reason for getting in that community, y'all, because as they're developing this, you have the chance to contribute to the development process. So you'll learn, like, you'll be able to learn from others how they're using it and see how to use it firm-wide, because a lot of you are starting off small, but with the goal of having the firm. So you're going to want your people to use your RightTool specialty, stuff. Okay, I am looking at my rest of my questions, and I'm just going to have us. So I wanted to ask Hector what it's like being a software developer, because I think there's probably a lot of accounting users who think, like, maybe that's something I could do one day. So if I get like 6 people who watch the replay of this to comment saying, like, I want to know what accounting software development is like, then I'll bring Hector and Mark back, and we can just talk about that career, like that adjacent accounting adjacent workflow. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I think it's fascinating that you can. That's what excites me about accounting, is like accounting is super broad, and there's like 9 million things you can do with it, y'all. You can be great at accounting, but have this other little skill set that then you can charge for. Okay. So if people write saying, hey, yeah, let's hear Hector and Mark talk about being a dev, we'll do it. So let's just wrap up and say, let's give the URL. So we're going to RightTool.app, y'all, is how you're going to get this tool. And then go to the QB Power User Group as probably the best way to stay in touch with these gentlemen, and submit your feedback. Get them to build what you need them to build, because they're here to help. They want the feedback now, so they build a great product so they can sell it, and y'all win and they win. So that's how this stuff works. So there's no real questions in the chat. Everyone's just saying great things about it. So
we can address the developer question. So first of all, I don't know what being a developer for a fully funded development company is. Like, I don't know what it's like to be in a company that raised $10 million and has like an entire staff. So I can't talk about that side of development. I can talk about the bootstrapping side of development, where it's just Mark, Patrick, myself, and Andrea, my wife, helping a little bit with the admin stuff. So basically, it means that you will go to sleep at 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. every night, 4 days a week. This is not an exaggeration. Okay, I have proof of this. Okay, I can show you the emails and the Facebook chats that Mark and I go through. We speak 3-4 o'clock in the morning, developing an idea, looking for. Essentially, this is like a hack, right? So we're looking for ways to like hack QuickBooks or the browser into thinking it could do something it's not meant to do. So there's a lot of iteration and experimentation. Like, out of the 40 features that you see that are working, 20 where we threw away. We just couldn't get there. and maybe 5, are in the maybe pile. Mark goes, maybe when I have a little bit, less stuff on my plate, I can go back to that. And there's maybe another 80 in the pipeline of ideas of things that we could do. So there's a lot of ideation. There's a lot of, can you do this? Can you do this? When Mark has an idea, he comes to me and says, does this make sense? Like, do accountants want this? And when I have an idea, I'm like, can you even pull this off? So the nice thing about Mark and I is it's in many ways, and I'm not saying this facetiously, in many ways, I believe that the both of us combined might be the best possible combination of earth of two people to get together to build an app specifically for QuickBooks Online power users without using the API. And API, it's a very important term in the development world. API is the roadmap that QuickBooks gives you to says, this is how you can interact with QuickBooks. Now, the API means nothing to us. We don't use the API because we use a browser extension. So our approach is just completely different. And because of that, it creates a whole new category of limitations. Like with every software developer that builds for QuickBooks knows what the API can and can't do. We are the first software developers that have to figure out what is our API per se, which is working within the HTML, JavaScript, and within the information that's being rendered in the browser by you interacting with QuickBooks. So we're all the time we're testing out, pushing the boundaries to see, can we do this? Can we do this? And we're just testing things at random until something lands. And when something lands, then we go, okay, we found a gateway into this. Now, is this applicable? Is this useful? Like, for example, how we got the reconciled flag to show on that screen? Like,
how?
Well, the information on whether or not that transaction is reconcilable is actually nowhere on the screen. Right. However, when you try to delete a transaction that's reconciled, it gives you a warning saying, are you sure you want to delete this? So what Mark said is, if RightTool detects, essentially, it's like it tries to delete it without you knowing, and if it detects that, then it puts the reconcile flag. I mean, just for, in layman terms,
that's so fun. That's like the stuff that gets the developers excited. It's like, I think you have the light bulb moment. So like, there's a trick that I can grab on.
It's all tricks. Like RightTool is all tricks. Like there's like none of the pathway that QuickBooks has given developers to develop is something that we've used, at least for RightTool. It might be for some other tools that we have a pipeline of tools we want to develop that will use the API, because there's also all sorts of new restrictions, but these restrictions in themselves are actually the funnest part of the whole thing, because it's we don't know what the guardrails are. We're discovering the guardrails. Okay. And interesting enough, Intuit could block all those guardrails, but they have to redesign their entire software. So we've been asking for a reconcile flag for like 8 years, and they're not going to magically now say, okay, we'll redesign the whole software to block RightTool. They can, and that would be interesting too. But I don't think that they just can't. What they have is too big, too out there. And what we're doing now is saying, okay, you're giving us lemons, we'll make lemonade with it. And RightTool is the lemonade that we can get out of our QuickBooks Online. But at the same time, we love QuickBooks Online. Without QuickBooks Online, we wouldn't exist. RightTool exists because QuickBooks Online exists. RightTool exists because we love QuickBooks Online. We love QuickBooks Online so much that we're right by its side. Okay. And that's all, play on words and everything, but that's exactly what it is. We are QuickBooks Online's partner. Like there's two tools that every bookkeeper needs, QuickBooks Online and RightTool. We're 100% sure of that, because we're not standard without QuickBooks Online. RightTool doesn't do anything. Like you need to be logged into QBO for RightTool to even open. Right. So that gives you a general idea of like sort of where we are and what the interesting marriage we have with QuickBooks, which is why when you ask me, Hector, can you build a RightTool for Xero or for FreshBooks or whatever? We could, but we have to start from scratch. And also, I'm not a Xero user or a FreshBooks user, so I kind of bring zero insight into this whole thing. The reason why I'm a valuable piece of this without knowing a line of code is because I kind of know what people want, because I've been using QuickBooks for so long, for so many sleepless nights. And Mark actually was a bookkeeper And he said, okay, I hate this. And said, I'm going to become a coder. So what was interesting is that Mark actually came from our world and said, you know what? I think the problems with QuickBooks are probably what drove Mark into development, to going, holy crap, that means I have to work with QuickBooks Online the rest of my life. This career sucks. So he went out there and became a developer just so he can fix QuickBooks. So this combination of us is just a very interesting one. And it might be difficult to replicate otherwise.
Well, your little logo that is here, it says the right tool by Accounting Pro Tools. So Accounting Pro Tools, I guess, is the new company that owns RightTool. Is that right?
So Mark, Patrick, myself, and my wife, all four of us.
That's a generic name, and so possibly y'all get excited, get your development hat on, and like just I mean, once Hector gets past this big hump, and Mark gets past this big hump, and they get to sleep a little bit, maybe like next fall, they'll be ready to build the next thing. And so I just love the idea of everyone, like Hector approached Mark. And they were able to form a relationship because they were acting in public. They had activity out there, right? And so maybe there is a way for Accounting Pro Tools to do something for Xero or for FreshBooks or for Bill Pay, or who knows. But it's just exciting. So stay in touch with these guys, y'all. Follow them, offer feedback, be helpful, use the tool, try to break it, tell them how you broke it, and then they'll fix it. That's how development works. So I'm going to wrap us up. Hopefully someone watches this hour-long replay. I hope you try RightTool, y'all. If you're a new bookkeeper, don't be scared. You couldn't ask for two nicer gentlemen to help you. Hector was instrumental in my life when I had never even opened QuickBooks Online 5 years ago. So they're just the kind of people that you're going to want to be alongside you as you're learning both QBO and the new tool. You have to. If you want to be in this in the long game, you're going to have to learn the things like this. This is what the good people do, or otherwise you'll be broke and you'll be like the $20 bookkeeper, okay? And you don't want to be that. You got to use the power tools. So I'm going to wrap up.
I do want to add something,
Go ahead,
if you don't mind. So for anyone that's in the bookkeeping world, whether you've been doing this for 30 years or you just got started, remember that we're going through a transition where the job of the bookkeeper, the responsibility of the bookkeeper, the set of things that the bookkeeper will be responsible for doing, it's evolving, it's changing. And between artificial intelligence and machine learning and software companies, most people thinking that they're taking over their jobs. That's not really what's happening. What's happening is software companies are looking at these really tedious things that bookkeepers do. A lot of bookkeepers love the fact that they're the only ones that like doing it. But there's nothing fun about manual data entry, nothing fun about finding a transaction that doesn't match something else, nothing fun about spending 2 hours trying to reconcile an account because you're off by 2 cents. You know, the tedious portion of bookkeeping is not the fun part. Fun is when it's done, when you can show the customer a P&L and a balance sheet and teach them what they're doing right and wrong about the business. Show them how to do tax planning, keep them out of jail, unlock the world into finances so they can make better decisions to run their business. That's why any of us got in business in the first place. And these tedious things will be replaced by software, will be replaced by machines. In some ways, it will be automated. In other ways, the tools like RightTool will help you be like a machine and artificial intelligence and do it so you can not take more of that tedious work. So you can spend 20, 30% less doing manual, boring stuff, save you that time, and then focus back on helping your customer grow their business, focus back on educating yourself, focus back on spending time with your family and vacationing. Like saving time, tedious work doing bookkeeping is not so you can take more tedious work. It's so you can refocus that energy into bigger and better things and get out of the side hustle and turn it into a real business. Mm-hmm. Okay? So that's the key. That's the key.
All right, y'all. We're gonna wrap up. Adios, my friends, and we will we'll bring you back for an update. Y'all just let me know when. Bye, everyone.
Sounds good.